that case, we can now move on to the next item of business, which is our actions. Item 5F. Commissioner Cho and Commissioner Marzano, I believe, are co-sponsors.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Steinbeck. Sorry, I jumped the gun on my little remarks there earlier, so I appreciate you stopping me before I got too far.
Sure. No
problem. This motion before you is in support of approximately 300,000 seafarers around the globe that are being forced to stay aboard vessels because of COVID-19 related travel restrictions. Some seafarers on the vessels right now have been on board for as long as 17 months. This is just far too long to be working without a contract, too long to be away from their homes, and it's too long to be away from loved ones. I've been told that the Port and Alliance have strong working relationships and good communication with border officials and shipping companies. These relationships have mitigated many of the challenges seafarers face getting on and off vessels here, but the conditions here are not the norm around the globe. I urge your support for this proclamation for two reasons. First, it's just the right thing to do. As you will hear from our speakers, this is a forced labor situation, a human trafficking issue, and quite frankly, a human rights issue. And secondly, each day this crisis continues, the safe and continual flow of freight is jeopardized. A tired crew without a clear understanding of when or if they can return home is not a safe crew or an effective one. Before we take questions and move to the vote, I would like to introduce two speakers in support of this motion. Ken Hawkins, who is the director of the Mission to Seafarers, Jeff Engels, who is the West Coast coordinator for the International Transport Workers Federation. Thank you, Ken and Jeff, for being here. Dave Freiboth is also here from the Port of Seattle, who may be able to answer any more technical questions that should come up. Now I'd like to give the floor back to the chair and open it to any questions and our speakers.
Okay, very good. Now let's hear from the first speaker.
Okay, so I'm Ken Hawkins. I'm the executive director of the Seattle Seafarers Center, and I'm the chaplain at the Port of Seattle. This is our press release. Work at sea, the world's second most dangerous job, a career path for 1.6 million professionals who underpin the supply chain of nearly 90% of all goods. These industrious men and women typically work on contracts for up to 9 months, away from their family and friends, with only a few days most months to gain time on shore for shopping and recreation, and most importantly, to reach out by phone or social media to loved ones in far-off places. In ports around the globe, from Seattle to Sydney, Houston to Hamburg, seafarers are essential to the movement of goods that include everything from fuel to car parts to electronics to pharmaceuticals. Yet they are the unsung heroes of normalcy in our everyday lives, invisible and unknown, silent and most often ignored. During this COVID-19 crisis, products continue to move and the wheels of commerce and consumption rattle on. More than 300,000 seafarers work well beyond their contract requirements, typically 9 months, without knowing when or how they may be repatriated, and another 100,000 will reach contract thresholds each month. And during this time, an equal number of seafarers wait, hoping to join their ships and resume work. Each day, a team of ship visitors meet seafarers who are stressed and overworked, concerned about fatigue, about safety, facing depression and isolation. They're worried about their families. Many are from India, the Philippines, and Indonesia, countries where the health crisis is compounded by threats to their own civil society. While seafarers present no security threat, and with proper testing and monitoring, little or no health risk, they're still denied the opportunity to return home as countries close borders. They continue to toil 10 to 12 hours per day, 7 days a week, up to 18 months in some cases, so we can get toilet paper, car parts, fashion accessories, and more. This humanitarian crisis is a political one, a crisis that calls for the united effort to declare seafarers as essential workers and treat them with the dignity and reverence they deserve. At the Seattle Seafarer Center, we visit each ship to provide SIM cards, phone cards, and recently gift bags containing toiletries and other items to sailors who visit our port. And each day we listen to stories of depression, often even desperation, as seafarers mourn the impact of the pandemic on their lives and their families. As the team most directly involved in seafarer welfare in this port, and in fact more than 200 ports worldwide, we urge you to join the United Nations and major international corporations like Unilever, Procter & Gamble, Heineken, and Mondelez in supporting the united efforts to repatriate seafarers and end forced labor and deteriorating working conditions that present a palpable human crisis, one that threatens the lives and families of seafarers and will eventually disrupt the global supply chain. We're gratified that the Port of Seattle supports the proclamation and urges ratification. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hawkins. And I think we have another speaker, Jeff Engels. I think you need to unmute, Jeff.
Can you read me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for this time. And I want to start off by thanking Commissioner Cho for bringing this forward, as well as the assistance of Dave Freibach. My name is Jeff Engels. I am the West Coast Coordinator for the International Transport Workers Federation, a global union federation made up of 700 affiliates in 120 countries, of which the ILWU is an affiliate, a local affiliate. I myself am a former seafarer. I spent 20 years on ships, tugs, and ferries before becoming a union official with the Inland Boatmen's Union, and then 17 years as the West Coast Coordinator for the Flag of Convenience campaign for the International Transport Workers Federation. So having said that, I've heard some of the background, of course, on the issue at hand. And I just wanted to say, I'll try to fill in the blanks on a few other of the technical parts, being that we as ITF inspectors, there's 125 of us in the world, and we have all the major ports on the West Coast covered as well, and I coordinate that team. We routinely are receiving texts, emails, WhatsApps, notices from seafarers. You'll get a message, something to the effect of, "Hello, sir. I have been stuck on board for 15 months. Can you help me? I am on the vessel," and then fill in the blanks. This is our function, and then we step into action, try to clarify with the shipping company, the local agents, what exactly is happening, and then go from there. That's what we've been doing since June 15th, the ITF inspectors. On a larger scale, the International Transport Workers Federation has been working with IMEC and the other shipping associations of the ship owners, as well as organizations in for the instance, the ILO, the IMO, and the United Nations, to bring this thing to the attention. What are main issue? One of the main issues is quarantines imposed by nation states, including the United States, after the COVID-19 breakout. Some of these quarantines were knee-jerk reactions to a situation that is, as we all know, a developing story. In the United States, the Customs and Border Patrol officials are charged with protecting our seafarer, our waterfront borders, as well as shoreside. And unfortunately, they operate much like, how can I put this? Unions, locals, or perhaps various churches or competing ports. Not that that's happening anymore, thanks to this great alliance. And so in certain ports, say in Alabama or Texas or New York City, the Customs and Border Patrol officials enforce the rules separate based on their own interpretation. And that's a problem. We are very fortunate, however, to be in the port of Seattle-Tacoma, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your you-know-whats. We have a good group of Customs and Border Patrol and U.S. Coast Guard here who have been lobbied and are listening to the concerns of the ship owners and the labor groups for the seafarers' repatriation. It's a good thing. However, I don't think that's the time to let up. This is the time for the Port of Seattle and the Port of Tacoma to stand up, to show leadership to other ports around the country that this is not going to be accepted on our watch. We're going to work with the government agencies. We're going to work with the ship owners and the shipping agency and organized labor to make sure that the crew change crisis is alleviated. We need your help too. You have an airport that you oversee. There's Customs and Border Patrol people there. Seafarers come in and out of there with visa issues. We could help out there. We need to educate the Customs and Border Patrol people that seafarers are not criminals. They are simply trying to go to work or get off a vessel. One of the things that happens, and I'll give you just a quick background, there was discussion of how long they're on board. Under our labor agreements, we have 13,000 ships covered, the ITF does, of the approximately 100,000 in the world. That covers almost all the major container vessels that call on our ports. All the big liners, all the good companies, K-Line, Hapag-Lloyd, all the good ones, they're primarily covered. They pay decent wages. The seafarers are taken care of on these flag of convenience ships. We get 9-month labor agreements on there. What is happening now is the flag states, sometimes Liberia, Panama, these flag states where ship owners register their vessels to avoid taxation, labor laws, and environmental laws, are allowing crew extensions up to 15 months. They're signing on to just extending, and then seafarers are getting a knock on the door and say, hey, we can't get you off this port. We need you to sign this extension. And these seafarers will sign the extension rather than facing blacklisting. Blacklisting is a horrific thing that occurs on the seas. Blacklisting is a human rights violation. And I know this port and the great ports of Seattle and Tacoma have put a lot of effort into human trafficking. We are getting to a situation where it's borderline human trafficking when seafarers are forced to sign extensions lest they be blacklisted at home or their wife gets a phone call telling their husband to sign the extension. This is the things that are going on these flag of convenience ships as we speak. I'm so happy again to be addressing this port where I know there's some forward thinkers, including Mr. Cho, the brother Marzano, and all of you that are interested in human rights as well as the safe movement of cargo. Let me tell you, I'm a seafarer, and when you're on board 15, 16, 17 months, you start losing your focus. We could have accidents. We could have more bridges knocked out. I think it's in your interest to talk to your stakeholders. Whatever message you decide to send out, whatever you pass, please don't just shuffle it off. Get it in the news. Send it to the Customs and Border Patrol, Coast Guard, ship owners, your other ports, San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, that you have done this, that the Seattle, Tacoma ports are standing up with seafarers and doing the right thing. I urge you to do the right thing. I pretty much winged this whole thing, but I do want to say he wasn't able to make it here. I'll read one thing. This is from Rich Austin, the president of ILW 19. Jeff, let me say how much I appreciate the work the ITF does advocating on the behalf of seafarers. The maritime industry does not function without them, and they are deserving of fair treatment, including wages, conditions, and timely relief. Our first president, Harry Bridges, was a seafarer, as well as many of our early members, including my grandfather and great uncles. The ILW holds a high opinion of seafarers and will continue to do what is necessary to ensure they receive what they deserve. I encourage you to continue the great work and know that Local 19 is behind the ITF and seafarers everywhere. In solidarity, Rich Austin, President Local 19. And I'd also want to say that Local 23 in Tacoma has been more than helpful. And we had a situation on August 8th. You may have read the article in the Seattle Times about the vessel Bellatrix that was down there. This is entitled, They Just Given Up, an inside look at seafarers trapped aboard ships and amid COVID-19 restrictions. This is right here at home, folks. This is the guy that used to write about the Seattle Mariners, Jeff Baker. He's looking into this. Bloomberg is, CNN, everybody is, and now we're waiting the response of the Alliance. Here comes the Alliance. You guys can make a difference.
Thank you, Mr. Engels.
You're welcome.
We need to move along here, but this is an issue of critical importance to the Alliance and to shipping worldwide, the supply chain, and it is a human rights crisis, clearly, that has drawn nearly not enough public attention and outrage. So I want to thank Commissioners Cho and Marzano, who is co-sponsor of this, bringing this proclamation to the Seaport Alliance. And I think this is, something that clearly needs more public attention and outrage. So I want to offer Commissioner Marzano the first opportunity to speak, and then we will go next to other commissioners if others would like to comment. Commissioner Marzano.
Yeah, just very quickly, I'm assuming this is a motion, and I just wanted to make sure it was seconded.
It's a proclamation, and it does. Yeah, and you're free to speak if you'd like to the motion.
Just real quickly, I don't foresee anybody voting against this. And once this does pass, if we could have this distributed to the major ports throughout the United States, letting them know of our actions so we can further enhance the growth of this important document.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Commissioner Marzano. Other commissioners, Commissioner Eng, you have your hand raised.
Sure. I would just like to thank Commissioners Cho and Marzano for taking this initiative, as well as the Northwest Seaport Alliance in supporting this, because this is a humanitarian crisis, a human rights, a forced labor issue. And it's time that the Northwest Seaport Alliance and the Ports of Seattle and Tacoma use their influence and power and how people behave in terms of labor rights. I also wanted to shed light and knowledge about, that this particular COVID has disproportionately affected Black and Indigenous people. But among seafarers, most seafarers, or a significant portion, are Filipinos. About right now, about 80,000 are stranded. They can't. It's a repatriation crisis, and we can't expect them to be at sea forever. And in fact, it's unsafe for us. It's also unsafe for their mental health. In fact, I heard of a story of a 28-year-old Filipina who ended her life because she could not book a flight home, repeatedly rejected. And so this is something that I think not only do we influence, but perhaps take more initiative. We do have, Port Seattle has an airport. We have ports. Somehow streamlining away from COVID testing to acceptance and working with governments, our own federal government, to make sure that these people are able to be repatriated and paid for and fairly compensated, and mental health treatment as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Eng. And I believe we have a seafarer, or I should say former seafarer, on our managing member commissioners, and that would be Commissioner McCarthy. And then we'll go to Fellman. Commissioner McCarthy.
Thanks, Chair Steinbrook. This is an important issue. I talked to Mr. Engels this summer and brought it to the attention of the Port of Tacoma Commission back then. I am glad you've moved forward with this and continuing your efforts. And indeed, long ago, before I was a judge and before I was a lawyer, when I was a longshoreman, I received my merchant marine documents, and they're still valid. So I'm very happy to support this. Thank you.
So you've got job insurance then, Commissioner McCarthy.
So to speak.
All right, Commissioner Fellman. Commissioner Fellman.
Trying to.
Okay, you got on mute. We're not hearing you. I'm sorry.
One more. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay. I too would like to express my appreciation to Commissioners Cho and Marzano, and also my great appreciation some years ago. I think that was her name. And I really think they do great work. I'm most interested in making sure we exercise such a proclamation that just as sharing it with other ports. I think I'd like to also see that targeting the U.S. Coast Guard. As our representative to the IMO, I see that the IMO has passed an initiative or a motion, but it's to the degree that we exercise the sentiment that I think is most important, and that also our Senator Cantwell has oversight of the Coast Guard and would like to make sure that we just, exercise it in its most productive fashion. So thanking the effort use.
Thank you, Commissioner Fellman. Other commissioners wishing to comment or speak to the issue? Okay.
Peter,
yes.
This is Commissioner Meyer.
Okay,
can I
please.
Just make one comment real quick? I really like what Commissioner Marzino said about circulating this in the broadest possible way, but I would recommend we also send this to the International Association of Ports and Harbors, because I think we're members of that group, and this is one of the ways to spread it in a broader context throughout the world. Just a suggestion, and I support this initiative.
Great.
And I say thank you.
That's terrific. Commissioner Keller.
Yes, thank you. I am in full and total support of this initiative and would like to also thank our two commissioners for bringing this forward. Thank you.
Other commissioners. Last call. This is a dual action of the Alliance and the Port of Seattle, with the Port of Seattle acting as both managing member of the Alliance and commissioners of the home port. Because this is a dual role, the motion and second should come from Port of Seattle commissioners. Commissioner Cho, would you like to make the motion?
Yes, I would like to move to adopt the Seafarers proclamation.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the managing members of the Northwest Seaport Alliance and Port of Seattle by dual action vote proclaim support for seafarers stranded on vessels due to COVID-19 specific policies by nations around the globe. It's been moved and seconded. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Eng?
Aye.
Commissioner Bowman?
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Cho?
Aye.
Commissioner Fellman?
Aye.
Commissioner Keller?
Aye.
Commissioner Marzano?
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer?
Aye.
Commissioner McCarthy?
Aye.
Commissioner Steinbrook?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. The proclamation is adopted, and I appreciate the suggestions about how to put this into action and distribution to get the word out far and wide.